Hey there, this is Tiffany with Grace Under Pressure. I'm trying out my new lavalier microphone. I hope it helps you hear me better. I know my last video, my audio was really poor quality, but today's video topic is glow up after a divorce. I got married, and this video is not about shitting on my spouse. This video is about what happened to me throughout the process of an unsuitable marriage and what I went through. There was verbal abuse, there was some physical abuse, there was some issues from my spouse, and I was very, very unhappy in the marriage. Didn't start out that way, it started out fantastic, but it quickly went very badly. And it took me a year and a month, but I got the heck out of that. And once my spouse was finally gone, had moved out, um, it took, I was exhausted. So for like the first 3 weeks, I just slept. I caught up on my sleep. I just slept. I was kind of depressed. I was very depressed. I slept a lot. And then, I don't know, I just had all this fire in me, all this anger, justified anger at the abuse, especially verbal abuse that I'd taken that was totally uncalled for. But what I ended up doing was sitting down with a notebook and writing down a list of things about myself and my life I wanted to change. And every aspect of my life, my looks, my finances, my social life, everything that I wanted to change, my fitness, my health, like every aspect of my life, I felt like it wasn't so much that the abuse like made me feel less than and made me feel unworthy. It was more that my spouse was such a mess that of course they were horrible to me. They were horrible themselves. So um it was just like I thought I kind of knew my spouse was not vibrating on the same level as me, but I thought I was strong enough in myself to lift them up. And what happened was they brought me down to their level. So I realized, there's still a lot I need to work on with myself once they were gone. And I made a list of those things. And I realized that there were certain things in my life that were appealing to that kind of person that I did not want to be with the kind of person my spouse was. And certain things about me and my life made me super appealing. And I never want to be with a person like that again. So, um, those things have to change because if the only person you can change is yourself, and if I don't change me and I don't change my life, I'm just gonna keep going through the same shit with different people, different faces, same shit. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it anymore. So, uh, I only learned 2 days ago what the term glow up mean. I never heard it. And YouTube randomly recommended a video to me that was like mental and physical glow up techniques or something. And I watched it. I'm like, oh, I've been doing that for the last 7 months. Like, oh, uh, I didn't realize there was a term for it. But there is. It's called glow up because I went to work on myself, my mentality, my life situation, my finances, my health, and all of it, not knowing that there is a whole community of people out there struggling and giving feedback and supporting each other and doing the same. And now I know from 2 days ago that I'm not alone in making life changes, but it's a new thing for me. So, I yeah, I've been making big changes. Like, I can totally see my spouse ended up telling me the only reason they were really attracted to me wasn't my physicality, it wasn't my personality, it was the fact that I got that monthly Social Security check. I was financially stable, I wasn't struggling with my bills or to pay things, and I've always been super, super frugal, so I was living well below my means. Most of the time, we get a $900 a month Social Security check, and I had my bills down to such a science that it was like under $400 for all my expenses, including my pets. So I had extra money to have fun with every month and invest and save. And what that came down to looking like was my spouse started, I was suddenly responsible for paying their car bill. I was suddenly responsible for paying their insurance. I was suddenly responsible for buying all the household goods and taking care of them. And they refused to work and played video games for 9 months out of a year and a month marriage and refused to get a job. So, you know, I was under the impression and kind of how I never wanted to be on disability. How I got right with it in my head, because at the time I really, really needed it. How I got right with it in my head is like, this is me getting paid to work on me and improve my health until I can get back to being a contributing member of society. So, I really needed the disability. And I'm not quite sure yet. I still might need it despite my best efforts, but I'm trying to do different and get off of it. And been pretty successful actually. I don't know if it's just because I'm older and learning to manage things in my life better and myself. I don't know, maturing. Things when you're young are always very volatile and seem like the end of the world, and you know, I'm 36, so it's kind of like been there, done that a few times. Kind of tired of the shit. Maybe I should try something different. Different reactions, different ways of being. Like, something to really be said about maturity. Anyways, I sat down and after like my 3 weeks of sleep after my spouse was finally gone, and I made a list. Like, I was living in low income housing. Move out of housing, low income HUD housing, into an apartment that I can make as much money as I want. I'm not worried about income limits and being kicked out for that. So I did that and get a job. Well, I had a job and that didn't work out, and then I had a job and that didn't work out, and then I got a job and it's working out, and then I got a second job and it's working out. And so two check marks. And then there was you don't know. For like since 2020 I hadn't worked. So I was very surprised at how much just having a job, any job, it really doesn't matter what it is. Having a thing to do every day, get out of the house, be around other people, go do the thing to the best of my ability every day has helped me mentally. Like, just having to show up and be on time, and like, I've always had a daily schedule, but usually my daily schedule when I wasn't working was for things for me to do in the day, clean and re-clean a clean house. And I didn't really have purpose. I kind of, for a long time, got trapped in my own routines. There were healthy, relatively healthy routines, but like cleaning the house and um, meal prepping and different things for myself. But I became a lot too rigid in that. And I think that was a little bit of what attracted me to my spouse, the chaos factor of my spouse. um, I needed a little more chaos in my life. The level of chaos I got, not so much. Nobody needs that. That's too much. But um, and I feel very bad for my spouse. They're still not managing, but I honestly did the best I could. I'm not a professional. I tried and tried and tried to get my spouse to go get professional help, and they were completely adamant against it. So, I mean, what more could I do? At a certain point, they chose drugs and doing hard drugs over being healthy and sane. So, and made it clear they were just going to do that until they died. And I'm not going to tolerate that in my space. So, end of marriage. But, yeah, I I went through some shit and I realized, I mean, yeah, my self-esteem by the end of that was rock bottom. I felt very worthless. I felt very sad. I was very depressed. But I was also very determined that not that I'm one marriage and done. I'm never getting married again. But I was very determined that I wasn't going to continue living the same, and I wasn't gonna just wallow in self pity and sleep for 6 months. And, I couldn't because when my spouse left, we had there were two sick cats in my house. My dogs had been neglected as far as their medical care because I didn't have the money. And all my pets had fleas, so it was high priority to get them care for me. Now that I finally have the space to, be myself, my pets are my everything. And so I was left, based on my spouse's income a month before, with $408 in income, with two sick cats, and dogs that needed care and blood work, hundreds of dollars in care for all the animals, and $408, and my rent was $288. So, and I had a bunch of debt. I went into the marriage debt free and was not debt free by the end of it. So, it was either accept that my animals could die and I'm never gonna feel okay with myself again and go a month and just let them be and suffer, or it was go out and make some fucking income and get them the care they needed. My spouse wasn't willing to do it, but I couldn't just, you know, I couldn't. So I went out and got a job, and I don't regret it at all. And now I went from basically being too scared that I couldn't handle working in an environment with a lot of people to loving it now. I love having two jobs. I love my life. Like, it was such a negative motivator that made me go out and do this. But now I'm accomplishing things that I never thought possible. I'm being around people. I'm getting along with people. I'm like having friend relationships with coworkers. I'm not in HUD housing anymore. I'm not on disability anymore. It it it's not a direct correlation that this person that was so bad to me was actually good for me, because a lot of that was not something anybody should have to go through. And it wasn't fair and it wasn't right. It was crazy. But it has been the fire that got lit under my ass to do a mental and physical and just life glow up. And I love that term because maybe you guys can even see the difference in me from like 6 months or a year and a half ago from me posting videos. Like, it's crazy how different my life is now, and I love it. And I, when I realized my marriage was done, it was not gonna work, it was failing, I honestly expected I would never be happy again. So, how happy I am now is really kind of surreal to me. How happy I am every day that I have all these blessings in my life, I have all this goodness. And to any women out there who might be struggling, who might be in a shitty relationship, and they know that it's not their fault, um, I gotta say, you know, sometimes you end a relationship and you gotta pre-plan for that because mentally you can let it drag you down or you can use it as a fire and fuel for that fire to level up. Women don't deserve to be doormats. And some women, especially me, I'm some women, used to, I'm kind to a fault. I'm empathetic and giving to a fault. And what the most profound lesson I learned in all this is when someone shits on your kindness and empathy and compassion, don't double down and just try again. It's not worth it. If they do that to your compassion and kindness and empathy, fire them from your life. Like, quit that shit. They don't need to be in your life. Protect your space, protect your energy. Because, like, this is, I don't know if it was a family thing or just a societal thing that I was taught. Like, I could only be worthy if I was completely kind and loving and understanding, even to my own detriment. I think a lot of women have this issue. And now that I've realized what I was doing, it's like I have put myself out so much. I put myself in so many risky situations and been harmed so much psychologically, physically, sexually because I couldn't see what I was doing wrong. That you don't double down on your kindness when someone shits on it the first time. You tell them to go fuck themselves and you get the fuck out of the situation and you don't interact with them again. If I had, and I'm 36 and I just learned this, and I'm not ashamed. Like, I wasn't taught this growing up. I was taught be accommodating, be kind, be patient, take care of others. So, when faced with an individual who took my sweetness and love and shit on it, I thought, well, they just need more understanding. They need more kindness and love, and it didn't work. It just made things worse for both of us. And it's a blessing. That lesson is the blessing out of the whole situation, out of the year and a half of misery. The lesson, don't double down on your kindness when it doesn't work the first time. Uh, there's a lot of other options on how to respond to that, and most of them involve cutting that person out of your life, and that's the same thing to do that I've learned. Drinking some OG Kool-Aid with Splenda because I'm diabetic. But yeah. Also, May of 2025, and I'm filming this on think it's still May 1st. It might be May 2nd, according to the time, or by the time you see this and I upload it. But May of 2025 marks 20 years I've been sober. And that's it's not a small thing, and I think it's really ironic that an old drug friend from high school when I was 16 got a hold of me just days ago, wanted to know if I wanted to reconnect and hang out like we used to. And I contacted some mutual friends to find out. And yeah, that person's still using daily and multiple substances. And so, not today, Satan. Obviously, I'm not going to hang out with that person, and I blocked them. Honestly, I've been seriously considering deleting all social media because it makes me way too available to people that don't have any reason to be in my life, reason to be talking to me. It makes me way too open to criticism. And some people say, oh, just edit your friends list. Well, I regularly get updates and comments and things from people that aren't my Facebook friends. I don't like Facebook anymore, and I don't use Instagram. It may end up that YouTube is the only social media I use because I can choose whether to share contact information or not, other than allowing y'all to comment on my videos because, um, and I can honestly turn that off as a creator. So, I mean, the internet is crazy anymore. Having people just decide they hate you and to come at you however they feel like, these keyboard warriors, it's crazy. It's very toxic. It's not great. So, I hope you all have a blessed May Day, Beltane, and you know that no matter how old you are, no matter what your circumstances have been, you can get it together again. You can glow up, you can do better. You just gotta be a little honest with yourself, and you just gotta try, take those first little baby steps. Even if it's just sitting down with a notebook by yourself and making lists. I mean, what does that hurt? When you have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain. Have a good night, folks.